Pacquiao and Mayweather fight. What? That was a few weeks ago. Why do we want to talk about it now? It turns out that a number of individuals are trying to file a class action lawsuit against Manny Pacquiao, Showtime, HBO, or anyone who had anything to do with the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Now, why is that? It turns out that individuals are unhappy with the way that the fight turned out. They claim that there was a lot of hype, a lot of buzz, but not a lot of entertainment. Let me give you some details. So at least 32 U.S. lawsuits seeking class action status allege Pacquiao should have disclosed a shoulder injury to fans before the fight, which Mayweather won in a unanimous decision after 12 rounds that most fans thought didn't live up to the hype. So their biggest issue here is that the fight wasn't really entertaining, and they're upset that they paid money to watch something that they deemed uninteresting. So that's what the lawsuit says, but the reality is, and this is just, I don't know, an educated guess, people bet on the fight, okay? They bet money on the fight. And so if you're betting that Pacquiao is going to beat Mayweather, and then after the fight Pacquiao loses and you find out that he had a shoulder injury that he didn't disclose, you're going to be pissed, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that has more to do with it than anything else. Was the fight entertaining or not? I know a lot of people thought it wasn't entertaining, but you don't get to sue people for not being entertaining.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, look, I've seen more action in a hamster cage than that actual fight. I mean, it was boring, and I get that it didn't deliver. Honestly, I feel like the fact that the whole entire country bought in, very literally, to fight night, and that's our fault. You know, we bought into the hype, all of us, and if we weren't entertained by it, well, you know, like, I think it was the perfect storm of like American media frenzy and capitalism and greed, like packaged into this, like, put it in the ring in front of us. And then it's a very American response to be like, that sucked, let's sue.
Yeah, we're very litigious.
Yeah, and we are. And you cannot sue the suckiness out of the world. You just can't do it. The only thing you can do is not indulge it. And unfortunately, every one of us who was tweeting hashtag fight night, which included me, and who made the fight night guacamole or whatever you did, we were a part of that hype, and now we can't really go and sue them. I mean, I busted shoulder or not with Manny. I mean, I agree that there's some sort of nuances about what kind of information a boxer has to disclose before a fight.
I would argue that an issue with your rotator cuff is something that you should disclose prior to a big fight like this, but nonetheless.
There was something in the article they were saying, some legal experts were like, there would have been more lawsuits if they had canceled the fight because of his shoulder issue than if they had actually did what they did, which is go on with it.
Right.
But then you then still just tell the public what's going on with his shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. I think the public would much rather see a fight where both fighters are on an equal playing field as opposed to something where one fighter is injured. I mean, how does that make the fight interesting at all? Now, the defendants differ in all of these different cases. Now, as I mentioned, there are 32 U.S. lawsuits. They're all seeking class action status. There's a possibility that judges could decide to consolidate all of these cases, and then they'll decide whether or not it would be fit for class action status. But all of them mention different defendants, okay? So they differ. All include Pacquiao and his promotions team, but some add Mayweather and his representatives, along with HBO, Showtime, and cable companies. So they're the ones who are going to have to deal with these lawsuits if they go through. The Associated Press reports that the fight was not great, not entertaining, not electrifying. It was boring, slow, and lackluster, and that's according to the lawsuit filed in Texas alleging racketeering, a claim usually reserved for organized crime. I love how everything is racketeering now.
Yeah, just like people like to just use that as like an umbrella term.
Yeah.
When they're just, you know, they feel sort of double-crossed or something, especially when it comes to in business. But, you know, like I said, I feel like add us to the list of defendants, every one of us who bought into the hype.
Yeah.
You know, because...
Look, on that day, I like watching boxing. It's one of the sporting events that I'm more entertained by, which is weird because I'm not really into violence. But for some reason, there's something about boxing that I like.
Boxing is a sport. I totally agree that there is an art and a beauty to it when done correctly.
Yes. But that day, I went and watched a Dodgers game. The stadium was empty. No one was at the Dodgers stadium. And I got drunk and I really enjoyed myself. And then when the game was over, there was still time to catch the final rounds of the fight. And so we were like rushing from one bar to another to see it, but no bar had actually purchased it, which is so weird.